music.
Party's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall, and I guess you just rhyme with Bat Minute!
I'm recording already, so I am good.
Droid is ready. Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the show where we'll talk about every minute of Joel Schumacher's 1995 movie Batman Forever, thank you. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to take the wheel, it is I, John Parker.
And once again, we're joined by the same two guests who were here the other day. I say that like it's a thing that happens in the show all the time, but sometimes we have different guests on for different episodes and whatnot. But anyway, it's Phil Dragash and it's Connor Coulson from The Matrix Minute and Prometheus Minute, respectively.
Hi.
Yay!
Hey.
Yeah. So who's Two-Face and who's Riddler in this dynamic here?
We're one side of the same. We're two sides of the same coin.
Relevant.
Yeah. I just wanted to open this by saying, I forgot. Never mind.
No.
Ah!
But yeah, we're here today to talk about minute 50. Jeez, we're nearly an hour into this movie already. My God.
Well, much like the movie itself, this is rocketing by.
Yeah, well, particularly in this minute, because this minute begins with a rocket's the Two-Face mourning his poor rocketmanship. That's a word. And it ends a minute
It's
later.
hilarious, though.
It ends a minute later with Batman doing some nifty maneuvers in the old Batmobile. One thing I will say, didn't address it last minute, is that it's kind of weird that Two-Face, for one thing. So the bat signal went off, and we know from this movie previously, Chase Meridian could get in and turn on the bat signal. I'm curious now, is there actually another emergency the Batman is having to get to, and Two-Face is intercepting him? Or is it that Two-Face got up, he's like, I heard Batman got blue balled by some lady, Commissioner Gordon, and some lady on top of it. Maybe we can go up and just get the bat signal going anytime we want.
That's a good point, because it does feel like it's supposed to be like a trap or something.
Well, that's the thing, because the novelization, they have it done differently, because they have none of the old, the woman with the pram routine, that's not there. I guess Peter David thought that was too silly. But he has Two-Face awaiting in his car, and he actually says, notes to no one in particular. And he says, public calls for help cut two ways. We've seen the general direction you come from enough times, Bat, to know where the optimum points for ambush are. And all we had to do was wait for some fine night that your services were requested. Apparently, this is the night. Your night and ours. And we dance the final dance. Which is a bit more of the kind of eloquent Harvey Dent side of him coming in there, which you don't get a lot of in this movie, because Two-Face's lines of dialogue in these minutes are just...
Oh, I have a lot to say about it. First of all, it seems like every Batman villain defaults to just cackling maniacal maniac. That's all of them. They don't have any variety. If you're writing the most stock standard version of all of these villains, they will be like that. And it seems that Peter David is sort of a representative of the fandom at the time, where this movie, and pretty much all of them really, these Batman films, were mixed to very controversial. And I think it's because at the time there was nothing else, and you didn't know when the next Batman movie would be made, and so I guess fans sort of pinned their hopes and dreams, and they wanted those really dark adult stories, whereas now I can watch it and just have fun.
I think that's when, if you listen to Kevin Smith's commentaries on the Batman movies, that's a frequent thing. They're great, but a frequent thing he always brings up is that he's turned on a lot of them. He has little regard for Batman 89. He seems to hate Batman Returns, and his whole thing was at the time I loved them because they were the only game in town. Like, you had to, like Batman's in a movie. Of course I love it, because it's the only Batman movie we've got. And like now years later, he's just like, what the hell? This isn't the Penguin. This isn't Catwoman. What the hell's going on? Completely disagree with him in that front, because I think those are the best representations of those characters done on screen.
I mean, I watch Gotham. I watch Teen Titans Go. I watch Young Justice. I watch all these different iterations. So to me, it's not like, this is the only version. I am quite flexible.
I'm stunned at the amount of hate Teen Titans Go gets, and it's from people
hilarious.
Saying, like,
it is so clever.
A lot of people are like, this is making, like, canonizing that, you know, Robin's a complete idiot, and it's too silly and also thing. It's like,
is the movie any good, by the way?
It's so good.
Yeah, I've heard it's incredible.
Okay.
Actually came up in my podcast recently.
But it's one of those things of just like a lot of people on the internet, you know, shockingly people on the internet actually hate something. But it's like, it's just definitely like, well, this is the only Teen Titans we have at the minute. It's like, you got a live action show of it as well. This is just a version of the characters and whatnot.
I mean, they have been doing
we're inundated.
Teen Titans movies, so...
I mean, one of the things I was going to bring up within this minute, specifically to you, Phil, actually, is that, you know, at the moment where, you know, Harley Quinn's obviously been having a moment for like a couple of years now. But at present, you know, in contrast to Batman Forever, this was the only Batman property beyond the animated series in the comics you were going to get in the mainstream media. At present, we have a Birds of Prey movie coming out, which is very, very much just the Harley Quinn movie. Like, you can tell from all the publicity, it's all about her.
Yeah.
Second, you have the Harley Quinn TV show, like a cartoon show, Kaylee Cuoco, really, really great. Then you have multiple Harley Quinn comics out at any given time. There's like Harley and her gang of Harleys. There's like the Harley and Poison Ivy comic. They had that great comic goes out quite recently, the Harleen, the 3-part thing. Was a really, really a big... So...
And they're doing YA books as well.
Yeah, so you're inundated with the character. So you can't really... You cannot like a version of it, but it's like, well, I got all these different versions of it. But back in 95... This was Two-Face to a lot of people because it was the only version of Two-Face they could, unless you were watching the cartoon.
Yeah.
And you were reading the comic, I guess. Well, you know, most adults going out to the theater wouldn't be. This was kind of the only version of the character you got to see. So
that's right. It was. You're asking me specifically what I think about this, yeah?
No, it's more because I wanted to bring up the fact that I think you mentioned, because, you know, you are a Croatian artist, Phil, and the person doing Harleen was a 3-part Harley Quinn origin book.
Right.
As a Croatian artist. I'm going to butcher the name, but I think it's like Stjepan Selček.
Oh, yeah. He's very well known.
Yeah. Just for the record, because my accent is so good, I am in fact an American citizen. But I was born in the USA. Yeah. But yes, I do have my Croatian origins, and Stjepan Sejic, I think his name is.
Oh. But that's one major thing I was very happy to see, is that because he does that Harleen book is excellent, by the way. Probably will be out in trade paperback, maybe even by the time this episode airs. I imagine me and John may end up even reviewing it for the Patreon at some point. God only knows.
Man, that's cool.
Know we will.
Really, really great. Really, but you know, really in depth detailing the rise of not only Harley Quinn but the rise of Two-Face. Like, Harvey Dent's story is in parallel with her, and there's a whole big thing at the end where she knows is like Harley and Harvey are nearly identical and stuff like that. Big
cool.
moment in the book. But one thing he does specifically bring back is the goon masks for Two-Face's men are from this movie.
Does he?
Are
That's
in
great.
that book. That's what Two-Face's gang are. In that they're called like the Executioners, and they have a whole big thing where like they become like a kind of Two-Face. Harvey Dent becomes like a symbol for like a guy who was fighting up against everything and was prepared to do the things Batman wouldn't do because he was crazy, basically. And you know, he gets scarred by Maroni, and then they, in a very modern kind of thing, go on air with these masks on because he's, you know, in solidarity for Two-Face, and then they execute Maroni on air. Like, they do like a public execution. It's like a terrorist sending in like a beheading video kind of thing. It's very, very dark. But one thing I was amazed though to see, like, oh, it's the masks from Batman Forever. They're back. Yeah. But the one thing they do is like it's not a straight line. They, even in their masks, they have the splash over.
I like that.
Interesting.
That's cool.
No, that is fun. I mean, I don't know why they did that in this movie. They really, I mean, you probably talked already so many times now why his face is just a straight line.
Perfect line with a ruler. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because
I
that
don't
Manila
know.
folder, Phil. You can't get past Manila. It's like,
It's
that's what the
impenetrable.
Batmobile is coded in. It's just coded in
I
Manila.
love the Manila folder. I love it.
I actually don't mind the concept of it, but it would still splash. There would be splashes like here and
course
there.
there
It
would
wouldn't
be.
a line.
If he had like a
don't get
big
it.
giant like leather bound book of like the law or something, so you can make it extra symbolic, that protected half his face.
That's hilarious.
Might have been worked better, but the fact it's a thin
Yeah.
little thing, it's like that wouldn't protect you from.
Well,
What do you do?
I don't know what they're
Considering it
thinking.
burned most of his face and sent him insane, why can't it get through a tiny, slim Manila folder?
Oh, by the way, the artist is Stepan Šejc. Sorry, I said Šejc because I wasn't reading anything, and now I checked. So
But yeah, it's great,
clearing my name.
The only downside to those books is that just think the guy, he's quite into like some sort of fetishy kind of stuff as well. Like a lot of his, a lot of the artwork is like it brings up the concept of fetishism quite a lot.
Well, what's the
a bit.
downside then?
There's no downside to that. The downside to this is that I don't know if he's in love with the Joker, but he draws like a hot Joker. Like,
Oh yeah, it's fan arty. It's very That's just it's fandom art, and it's hard to describe. It's a very specific.
Okay.
it's annoying because
style.
everyone else looks great, and then you get the Joker, and it's like that's not the Joker. Like that's like a hot
Right.
Very
guy.
bishy. Yes.
Yeah, he's not even dressed as the Joker. He's just kind of wearing like a light purple overcoat, but like a normal shirt. And it's like the Joker's supposed to be dressed up like a weirdo. Like he's supposed to be
Yeah.
the horrifically mutilated guy. Like
He
what
is
are you
so-
doing?
Well, I
that
mean,
fish
what
realness.
have we been talking about? But what have we been talking about? Like, there's not going to be a ultimate Joker, is there? You know, there's going to be different interpretations. But at the same time, I'm with you, Niall. I like the haggard, more haggard Joker appearance. That's
Can I talk about Two-Face now?
okay?
No,
He's
we're
one of
gonna
my
sit and
favorites.
talk about this for the next 10 minutes, and
Yes.
then maybe we'll get to Two-Face.
And I've been like sitting here patiently going, oh, I really love it. Yes. Two-Face is one of my favorites. Growing up, for whatever reason, Riddler and Scarecrow were the ones I was drawn to, and I think it was just more of a visual thing. A lot of the Batman villains, they've got a great aesthetic, so I think it was more a graphic designer part of my brain that just like, oh, you can do so much with their theme. But I think Two-Face is a really fascinating one, and he's been in the comics for a long time. And yet, wasn't in the 60s series, although I think this costume is what you would expect. It's kind of nice. Finally, we see what a 60s Two-Face would have looked like. And really, they've not done a good Two-Face on screen yet, other than the animated version, which the reason why that works is because they took their time with it. It's the same problem with The Dark Knight. Okay, so you're going to put Two-Face and the Joker in a movie? You are mad. Two-Face is a very tragic, intricate story, and there's a lot of pathos there, and just, it's brilliant, wonderful. And you shove him in with the Riddler, you shove him in with the Joker, these clownish characters, one more literally than the other. He just gets overshadowed, and I honestly think Tommy Lee could have done a good one. In moments, you kind of see a little bit of a darker, more serious Harvey or Two-Face bleeding through, and he does that kind of big bad horror voice, which I'm wondering, did he watch the animated series to get that, or did he just come on to it on his own?
I love his performance here when this crazy fake cry that he does.
I love it
It's
too.
amazing. And I had multiple layered questions here. Because is this just him being like hammy with his acting? Or is it also supposed to be because he really doesn't care about these guys and he's sort of just having fun? Or is it because he's genuinely upset, but the thing he's upset about is that Bats got away?
I think he's genuinely upset, but it's that Bats got away. Although I do like the idea that he was genuinely mourning. Like, unlike the Joker, who will shoot his best friend with nary a care, Two-Face is now devastated. That I killed Jim. I killed Jim and Chris.
That would have been a great bit. No! We were going bowling tomorrow.
It'd be great to have found out it was like in Deadwood. What was it like when Seth Bullock, Timothy Olyphant's character, when his brother dies, like, back in the olden days, that meant that his brother's wife was kind of his wife. So then you find out that's why Sugar and Spice are hooked up with Two-Face. They're like, no, they were the wives of those two goons. And Two-Face is now obligated.
He's just looking after them. He's being a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
Killed your husbands.
For me, it's just like on surface, sort of like a Warner Brothers Looney Tunes kind of expression there. It's
He should shake his fist at the Batmobile as it drives off.
Yes. See, that's what we were missing, and that's how I see
I'll
it.
get you next time, Batman.
Yeah.
But I do love the cry as well. I will note though that the rocket launcher that Two-Face has apparently is a Type 69 RPG, a Chinese type apparently.
Oh.
And it was used in several other films, including Three Kings with George Clooney, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh.
Indiana Jones uses this rocket launcher at one point.
I like it.
And most notably, it was used by one Heath Ledger in that truck chase during The Dark Knight.
No way.
So Chris Nolan's like, oh, get the same rocket launcher as well while we're already ripping off the wheels bit.
I love the idea that was a deliberate reference. Like, let's do a little callback.
I was like, yeah, no one will
That
pick
would
up
be
on it
cool.
unless you're analyzing these things 1 minute at a time. Little did you know, Chris. Yeah. Other thing I love is like, yeah, Batman just drives on past Two-Face now, just leaves him standing there, and then Two-Face, like a petulant child, throws his RPG off after Batman, as if it's such a hopeless deed of like, oh, I'm not going to do any damage, but I might as well just throw it at him, just for the sake of it.
But as Batman drives off, right, I had the thought, right, we said he lets people die. If Batman in this series was willing to actively kill, right, he could solve the problem right now. He could just splatter Two-Face all over the road, GTA style.
Oh, 100%.
Just hit him and end the problem.
There's a whole other thing, actually, within the novelization as well. And again, talking about little things that Chris Nolan might have picked up here and there. Because Batman is actively... Looking at this, I'm like, why is Batman running? Like, Batman doesn't run. Except in the first movie where he ran from the Joker's goons because he had to save Vicky Vale, I guess. But, like, it's kind of like, yeah, he's in this situation. Unless he's like, I need to get to the bat signal to see what else is happening. Why wouldn't he stop to try to actually apprehend Two-Face and whatnot?
Yeah.
And the answer is in the novelization in that he due to what happened with the Batmobile in Batman Returns, he calls back to that and he's like, people are scared of the Batmobile because of all the chaos it caused. I can't have that happening again. So he's like, I need to get out of here as fast as I can. And then he takes to the rooftops instantly, like the whole grappling hook thing we're going to see at the end of the week. That also happens at the end of the sequence, but at this point he's like, all right, I'm driving up a ramp onto the roofs, and there's a rooftop chase. There's a much more high octane, like Fast and Furious-esque, like they're driving across the rooftops.
Oh, like Batman Begins.
I was about to say, you mean like Batman Begins?
So it's again Chris Nolan. He's just like, you think you got away with it, Chris? We've been watching you this whole goddamn time.
We're on to you.
Just land in the Legendary Films office with a manila folder the size of the goddamn moon, just slamming his desk.
For your next birthday, Niall, I'm going to buy you a pack of manila folders. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have loved to see in this movie, I'm surprised they didn't go this way, but Two-Face being really conflicted. The only time he's really conflicted is when he can't decide to eat salmon or the hog first, the spit roast hog.
He gets a wedding invite and it's like chicken or beef, and he's like, oh my god, you know who you're sending this card to?
There is no duality to this Two-Face.
I would have loved if like he's about to attack the Batman or Robin. He's just like, no, yes, no, yes.
And then that's why he has to toss the coin, maybe, because he can't.
Yeah, and he's always lost the coin, and yeah.
Do you think before the sequence happened, he was sitting in wait, flipping the coin, going like, "Do we do this tonight? Batman's coming. Do I need to flip the?" Or was it like back when did he do a coin flip in Arkham Asylum when he was just like, "All right, so if I get out of here, am I going to take out my revenge on Batman?" Flips the coin. Yes, I am, and that covers me for life, basically. Or like, at what point does he stop flipping the coin? Like, could he be like, do I take a rocket launcher? Flip. Yes, I take a rocket launcher. Okay, what kind of car should the goons drive? Flip. Oh, okay. We got a choice between a hatchback and a Jeep or something. It's like, okay, we're going with the hatchback.
It's surprising that Two-Face doesn't get an origin story. They just launch into, I guess, well, I mean, Billy D was like briefly. I don't think audiences are going to make that connection.
Absolutely not. It never tries to connect the two characters, does it?
No, it's Batman Forever. That's it.
I mean, I think that manila folder covered all the origins we need, Connor, quite frankly. That had the entirety of Two-Face's backstory was written on that folder. So if you zoom in, you can see all the details of it.
It was lost to history when it got burned.
Until they had Blu-ray and enhance.
But I do love, again, though, like in terms of like comical shots, because you have the Two-Face flinging the RPG, and then I just love like when the other car pulls up for him, just knocks over the pram. Like he's standing waiting for it, and then it's like they could totally avoid that pram if they wanted to, but they're like, no, we're gonna run over the pram just for the sake of it. Why not? You know. Though the thing is, in talking about like Jokerisms and whatnot, and again talking about Chris Nolan potentially lifting things, it's like when Two-Face gets in, he's like, "Oh, wheel drive, thank you." Again, I can't help but think like in the Dark Knight, like Joker jumping into the truck and being like, Harvey Dent. Oh, excuse me, I want to drive. Like it's the same. Again, it's like, well, it's just it's an action scene. This is happening in a million movies and whatnot, and the villain hopping in and going like, "I want to drive," is like, oh, it's a trope or whatever. But again, it's because it's two Batman movies, 13 years apart or something? It's like, I don't know, maybe Chris Nolan was putting an old fast one by like, I make everything like blue and whatnot. People won't notice that I've swiped the whole sequence from...
Sound effects on these machine guns that the goons' cars have in, like James Bond. These sound effects are weird, right? They sound like splat. It's like...
Oh, crap. Yeah, I cannot hear them because if I do, it plays through my laptop. So
it's bizarre. I don't understand why they went with that. It doesn't. Yeah,
they make it sound like a filtered. Like you take down the not the high ends but the low ends, and then you kind of there's certain filters that you can make to squeeze the sound to make it have that kind of a weird. I don't know why that's the case.
Why would they do that? I mean, it makes it sound less violent. Maybe that's.
It's because the Batmobile isn't made out of metal;
Flames.
It's made out of fiberglass. So
there you go.
Yep.
Then again, at the same time, it might be made out of fiberglass, but right? Why do they shoot at him? We've said this multiple movies. Stop shooting at the Batmobile; it doesn't work.
They never, ever, ever learn. It's like you will not.
Because maybe the 167th bullet will get through.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to make one scratch on it. Stop trying to shoot the Batmobile.
That's like in Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight is trying to jump on your Batmobile. It's like, this is a tank, sir. You're going to die. What are you trying to accomplish?
What
is
is
the
their
message
goal?
that Alfred recorded for them there? Like, this is a tank, sir. Please refrain from jumping on
tank, sir.
I like the way Two-Face speaks here, because he's doing this yet again, where he says, wheel drive, thank you. Because he gets picked up by his men and assumes command of the car. But again, plural, wheel drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the delivery, like the way he says this, wheel drive, thank you. It's very bizarre.
So annoying to me.
You're not a fan of it? Or annoying in a good way, like because he's the villain?
I don't know. I can't make up my mind. It just I don't know. Whale drive, thank you. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have even brought it up.
Do you think it fits the tone, though? Because even if I didn't like it, I would be like, well, it suits this movie.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, it does, but just the tonality of it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I love it.
But yeah, so in terms of the actual content of the minute, though, because it is just Batmobiles zooming around the place, these goons still trying to friggin' make any kind of dent in that hull.
Yeah, but you're not going to get Batman when he's Tokyo drifting.
One thing I will say, John, I know you brought up the Dodge W series. I will note that I went to the Internet Movie Car Database, and
they have that.
That's how I get all the car info, because I know nothing about cars.
So I know the Internet
weapons,
movie gun database, but they have a car one.
I wonder if there's like an Internet movie like shoe database or something. It's like
everything glove.
Yeah, it's like Harvey Dent is wearing some leather Gucci wingtips or something.
There are Tumblrs dedicated to that. Just clothing in general.
I would be there for it. Give me the fashion, darling. Come on.
But the W Dodge series, it's in a lot of stuff. But like things that jumped out to me were Silver Bullets, of course, great Stephen King adaptation about werewolves. Gary Busey's in it. It's incredibly fun. For Neil Brown, American Ninja 5 features the W.
Why for Neil Brown? I love that movie. Well, I haven't seen 5, to be fair. I've seen the first 4.
I just know Neil's he's a big American Ninja guy. It's also in Lassie, A New Beginning. Because, when the Lassie series got too unwieldy and like, it's Lassie in space, it's Lassie going over to apocalypse and stuff like that. It's like, let's bring it back to basics. Lassie, A New Beginning. Oh, Timmy, don't go near that well. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Let's get the Dodge W series out to deal with.
But as we all remember, it was a gritty reboot.
Yeah, it was like the torrential rain and the Lassie hanging around on the rooftops and whatnot. And it was also featured in The Black Dahlia, which is a terrible adaptation of a great book.
Aww.
So go out and read The Black Dahlia. But Black Dahlia is also, as a film, is notable because it has a cameo by Katie Lang, who we talked about in the Patreon episodes not too long back.
KD.
She's in the Pee-wee Christmas special. But yeah, so that was just, another little thing about the Dodge W series there.
And if you listeners haven't heard the Christmas special yet, don't worry that it's not Christmas anymore. Go and listen to it. If I do say so myself, it's a masterpiece.
It's always Christmas somewhere.
Exactly.
A masterpiece.
It is indeed.
But then, in terms of recurring imagery, Batman does zoom past another statue, which is again this sort of Atlas holding up this image of like someone all throughout Gotham. This image of the kind of Atlas-esque figure holding up the weight of the world and whatnot. It's all over the place. Like it was one statue in the last movie. It seems to be like every other statue in this one.
Is that though because as Batman, he feels like he is shouldering the responsibility of protecting Gotham, and it's only getting worse?
Yeah,
So
it could be. It
yeah.
could be. Yeah, it's expanding. It's
Sure.
Oh, these are the sort of things that come up in Prometheus all the time where you go, does this have symbolic meaning or is it just functional? Like in this situation, if you're going to have a human sculpture worked into architecture, well, of course it's going to be holding things up because that's what beams and pillars are for. But at the same time, it's a film, so there's probably some symbolic meaning, right? So it is about a burden.
Yeah, and the burden increasing.
We've been really giving Joel Schumacher the benefit of the doubt with a lot of our interpretations of the scenery in this. So it's like, we got your back, Joel. Like, much like these statues holding up things, we've got your back. We'll tell people that you meant it intentionally. But one thing, though, is that it's absolutely bucketing rain in this one shot. Was it raining at any other point in the scene? I know they're under a bridge and stuff, but like, this seems to be like the only shot where it seems to be like, like a torrential downpour. I don't think that's evident anywhere else in the minutes.
The way rain reflects light, especially at nighttime, isn't consistent. So there may have been rain there, but it's just a lot of the time it's not capturing it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Giving them the benefit of the doubt. What are we doing? It's Joel Schumacher. Why are we...
What are we doing?
We're just secretly hoping he'll sleep with us as one of his, 200,000 partners.
We could be.
Yeah, that's right.
We could be the 200,000th and two. Me and John. we work this magic.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I've just gone back to minute 49, and they're under the bridge, but there's a lot of water raining down behind them as they first drive in. So okay.
Oh, fair enough.
Although as soon as you said under the bridge in my head, I'm just singing the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, under the bridge downtown is where I tried to kill the bat.
No, yeah, like speaking of which, I mean, I love the score of this movie. I love it, man.
It's really, really underrated because it does fall between like the titans of having Danny Elfman and then Hans Zimmer, and then you're always going to be the guy who wasn't them in between. Yeah, but like
yes. I do remember a video like Elliot Goldenthal. Elliot Goldenthal is fantastic. He does. I think you guys talked about this already. He does like he actually does actual symphonies and in concert material that has nothing to do with movies. He is I think he's a very creative. He's a very out there composer. He does very much like Hans Zimmer in a way, where Hans Zimmer tries to put sound and he tries to put tone into the scores instead of melodies. And I think that Elliot Goldenthal does the same with many of his works. I think Alien 3 in particular, Alien Cubed, is one of those examples where you can really hear a lot. And
That's
also,
why the
like,
name was familiar. Yeah, everybody loves the Requiem for Ripley.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm
beautiful.
a big defender of that
And,
movie in general, to be honest.
yeah.
It's never one. It's so heavy. It's never one. I'm like, oh, I really feel like some Alien right now. It's never Alien 3, but no, it is. It's good.
Depressing as hell, but
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I like to be miserable.
Yeah, sometimes if it's in a sci-fi situation with a xenomorph that you're so familiar with already, and it just has that good visual flair. In my opinion, I just think that it still looks visually very good.
And
Alien 3.
The weird, sort of, I guess it was a pleasure, but like the weird duty of quite recently introducing a friend of mine to the Alien movies. Like my friend Gemma, never seen any of them, and then there was like a screening of Alien. She's like, "Do you want to go to this?" Like, "Oh yeah." Didn't realize until afterwards she had never seen the film before. I was like, "Holy crap, you've never
Hell
seen
yeah.
Alien before!" And then I was like, well, about Aliens?" She's like, "I've never seen Aliens." I was like, "Oh my god, we had to right around the house, had to put it up in the projector and whatnot, and it worked great too. Like sitting next to someone who's never seen it, she was herself doing it. Any time it got really
Awesome.
tense, she was like jumping out of her skin and stuff. And then she's like, "Well, what comes next?" I'm like, "Thing is, you got really into that. Alien 3 is like, it's not a bad movie, but I should warn you in advance, it's really, really depressing."
But that's
Like,
why it's great.
But I don't know if that would appeal to her though. I think she just liked the fun of aliens and whatnot.
Yeah, that's why it alienated, no pun intended, the audience when Alien 3 came out. People were like, oh yeah, we love Newt and Hicks and Bishop, and oh, it's going to be like this kind of action family in space. It's going to be great. Oh, fuck. Oh.
But again, that's why I like it, right? Because you thought there was hope. There is no hope.
Yeah, it's Alien. It shouldn't have hope.
Exactly.
Like I agree with James Cameron by saying that he set them up in a way, not super like directly to go into a sequel and so on and so forth. And I agree with that those characters were too valuable to be killed off like that. But at the same time, that is sort of like what Alien should be about. It's supposed to be hopelessness,
yeah, it's a
in
tough
my
one.
opinion.
I suppose, even though I'm defending
Yeah,
it.
like Shaw not coming back in Alien Covenant. So many fans were so butthurt. Like, no, but she was so great. It's Alien. Everything you know and love dies.
Yeah.
Get used to it.
Yeah, that's what's so fun about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's me defending it, but you could also argue that it's like the Rise of Skywalker in that it completely just gets rid of the things it was handed from the last movie.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Could we consider Alien 3 to be the last Jedi of its day? Where it's like, I know you set us up for a bunch of stuff, but I wasn't interested in doing that. So I went and made my own movie.
It's very similar.
Yeah. Let's go back to Elliot Goldenthal for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Just the score here, he does exactly what the movie needs. And that's what I wanted to say. I mean, you hear that, what was that, like the Two-Face thing? And the Batman theme, I think, did you actually, maybe you might have mentioned that Elliot Goldenthal said that he imagined what it's like to play with action figures as a child.
We've not really delved too deeply into the score just yet.
Oh, because that is one of my favorite things about what he explained with the score, because he said that it's like when you're a kid and you're playing with action figures and you're making up music when you're playing. And that's what he wanted to do with the Batman theme for this. The motif, the dun 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 dun. So
That's cute. I
love it.
That was great.
And it works so well for this.
Long time defender of Alien Goldenthal. I don't think anyone has ever actually like come for him or anything. Where they're like, oh well, Batman Forever score was a pile of great. I think most people are just like, it's just kind of forgotten. But it does deserve to be like exalted a little bit. It's like, no, the guy came in.
I agree.
Like he had to come in and follow up Danny Elfman, and he did a great job. So
no, he did. He really made it fit with this tone. It still has that Danny Elfman thing. Like it has that darkness, it has that gravitas to it, but it's also kind of silly, and you can really hear it too.
That's a favorite aspect of it is the fact that like he always ends the Batman theme on a kind of like a sinister note. Like it always has,
Yeah.
dun, 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 like it sounds like it's grand and whatnot. But it also sounds like it could be like part of like a villain theme or something. Like he's still lending into the darkness of the character and whatnot. So like,
we're talking about voices either being consistent or changing throughout this franchise. The music is pretty much the same. Like from the moment Danny Elfman made that iconic score, everything else has sort of been building upon. I'd even argue Hans Zimmer's scores are still sort of in that ballpark. And the Arkham games, it's the same thing, basically. It's a sound alike.
Shirley Walker, the animated series.
Yes, which I love that orchestral one in The Mask of the Phantasm. Oh my, I want to listen to that.
It's the best. Shirley Walker is one of my favorite composers. She's so good. I wish she was still here.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Been so great.
That's one of those real tragic things, is like getting into Shirley Walker, and it's like, oh, what's she up to these days? Oh,
not
no.
much.
she's dead. It's like when I recently got into like Darwin Cook. I was like, oh, I really love this guy's art style. What's he doing now? I was like, oh no, he's dead. It's like, oh.
He did a limited run series of The Spirit, and it was the cutest thing. His art style was just so perfect for it. He breathed life into a character that hadn't been. It had been lifeless for such a long time.
But anyway, now we're into talking about random things completely unrelated to the minute.
I can't believe it. What have we done?
This has never happened before on the show.
Shall we wrap things up for this minute? And
it's
move
dangerous
on to the next?
inviting me on.
Yes.
I can talk enough for 4 people, I'll have you know.
But we will leave you all now. We will depart once more. We'll do plugs again at the end of the week. Screw it. Come and chat to us on Facebook, buy a t-shirt, etc. See you on Friday for more Bat Minute Forever.
Bat Minute Forever.
Woo.
Next time, the Backstreet's Bats All Right. A lasso around Lucifer and a lariat loop gives our aphodic adventurer an advantageous alley-oop. But while a brutal bat brawler turns curious wall crawler to make another infernal escape, how much more disappointment can one geminated miscreant take? Find out Friday, same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.